Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to Coffee Time. Supplemental.
Right, you can just carry on talking like I told you I was waiting for something.
Number 70453. Episode 506. For anyone who's still counting.
Okay.
James has asked me to give you guys a review of the Fablemans, which I would have rather done after James and Voltaire had seen it. We could all talk about it together, but
Can you come in?
he kind of James is kind of eager for my review, I suppose. And it's going to get spicy, ladies and gentlemen. Very spicy. So sit back, relax, and we'll talk some Spielberg. Some Senor Spielbergo, as they said in Simpsons. I'm actually sitting here playing the new Indiana Jones pinball game. So I got Spielberg on the mind. It's quite addictive. You can get it at Zen Studios. There's another digital pinball. It's available from two different companies. Pretty goddamn addicting, I tell you. Just give you a taste of the music there, because we don't want to get a copyright strike. But you get the Indiana Jones kind of feel there for a minute. And that's about it without getting a copyright strike. But you get the idea. We got the Indiana Jones hat and everything. So as soon as James joins me, we'll try to do a non-spoiler review, and then we'll get into spoilers, because you can't talk about the Fablemans without getting into spoilers, guys.
Hi again. All right.
Hello.
That was quite unexpected. Let me just be 1 second. I just need to do something.
Right, yo. Right, yo, governor. Do what you gotta do. It's 2:30 in the AM where I am, sipping on some coffee.
Yeah, I mean, that was unusual, because it's like, not completely though, because like I ordered some food. You can order it like through Amazon from this supermarket here called Morrison's. Let me put my speaker up here. It'll be better now.
There you go.
We could come between can you hear me?
Yes, better.
Like 2 hours from now or something. Then they come like half an hour early to the start time. I'm like, it's just a good thing I'm up, because I remember in the past when I used to order from somewhere else that's like kind of a bit of a better supermarket perhaps, and they'd be like coming at the very last minute, and it'd be just so that was good. But
yeah, well, it's getting to where you could barely get them to.
But it just doesn't give me the time to put anything in the fridge or anything, so I'm just, luckily the kitchen is cold though, so the weather here has been so it went from like minus degrees to suddenly the next day 11 Celsius. And so what I noticed on that day, that the buildings were all cold inside still, or there was like condensation everywhere, and it was just unpleasant to say the least.
Does the
like this country's like made all these films like Hammer and stuff like that, and these clammy films, that I would have difficulty making, or watching. Sorry, now probably no problem making them.
Like
you can
Hammer
completely
films?
see where they come from. It's
Like
just
Hammer films? Is that what
yes,
you said?
that's what I mean. Hammer and all that kind of thing,
Mhm.
which I've never been a fan of personally. I've always been a fan of like American
The
natural
Draculas are
horror and
pretty.
stuff like that.
The Draculas are pretty good from the Hammer.
If you can put your if you can put your camera, your phone on something so it's still, that helps with the sound, because otherwise you just keep cutting out all the time. You really need to be on the ball with this. Otherwise, it just makes the video unwatchable for people, unfortunately. And so more people end up watching the ones with Peter, despite the fact that he's just basically shouting at me for an hour.
I'll tell you, you could barely understand what he's saying with his audio.
Well, that is also the accent, though. Yes,
yeah.
I've had a lot of problems, and a thing that I want to say is this video obviously is not live. This is completely pre-recorded, but I'll be uploading it to the See You in the Trees channel and also this one tomorrow, but without any editing now. And the Sunday shows are pretty much now have got to the point of just being redundant because of the viewership is just dwindled so much, and people are just not turning up on time anymore, even Voltaire. And so it's just becoming like grounds for divorce, really. It's just, there's none of that chemistry that we ever had at one point, which was arguable at best anyway. But I want to avoid certainly things that have happened this year in the future. So,
well, if you let me do a Fablemans review, if you want me to do a Fablemans review, it's going to get pretty spicy, like I told you before we went live. So we'll be testing out the bounds of limited conversation here with this movie, and we'll see how it goes, because
well, I just got up and I prepped a bit for this. So
yeah, we did a stream not too long ago. It was pretty successful. You guys,
I think people are interested in our conversations, but that when it got to me,
you and Peter went into politic land the other day, and nobody's interested in watching that.
You don't have to just bash someone else out of like jealousy.
No, I'm not though. But the viewership kind of level suggests. I even tried to watch it, and dude,
but you don't have anything. You don't have a foot to stand on, because you basically espouse in the past a lot of just
because I
political things. So anyway,
I have a different viewpoint.
But I don't think the trouble with you is you don't really have a viewpoint. You're just kind of
no. The trouble is you belittle my viewpoint because it's not yours.
No, I don't. I think that you're just your viewpoint is incoherent.
It's not though. Just because you'll
say things like, Donald Trump is a great businessman.
Because it has nuance.
No. It doesn't have any nuance. You're mistaking nuance for idiocy.
Okay, well, this kind of shit talking is why nobody wants to be on the Sunday show. You just called me an idiot. You see?
No, I didn't. I'm saying that you're talking idiotically.
Bro, come on, James. You're smarter than this, bro.
I'm not here to bolster up somebody's fragile ego.
No, and I wouldn't expect you to. But
so just move on then. We're talking about the Fablemans, okay? The reason people come on the Sunday show is because they want to have just basically a laugh. That's it. But I want it to be more about just talking about films and stuff.
We come on to talk movies too.
Yeah, I know, but it doesn't.
We have opinions about movies. And
yes, but I think over the last year, it really has got to the point where I have let people on the show essentially because of their own enthusiasm, but that doesn't equal quality content, you see.
We come on to have fun, like you're saying, but when you are policing our speech, it's not fun anymore.
Yeah, well, I think at this point you've got to look at yourself and say, I'm not, one of the qualities that I have is that I don't police you in the slightest. The fact that you're on now.
We'll see tonight.
Well, it's now, as I've said to you many times, it's now 8:43.
This movie is,
just bear in mind that
It
I'm
goes
like
a
doing
lot
the
of
show.
weird
Okay.
places. It goes a lot of weird places, James. Yeah, it's your show. I got you.
It's not my show. It's our show. Okay.
Okay.
We're both responsible for if people watch it. And the fact is, when you come on, there are quite a few people who write in with comments saying, "This is what I want to watch on your channel." And they'll repeat stuff of me saying,
Because I
send me the fucking link on Facebook. But the thing is, that's not how I want to talk to you. So you know that. So, you know.
You know who Lex Friedman is? You know that interviewer?
No, because I'm not, if you give me American references sometimes.
No, he's not. Well, he's a
I
Russian.
know the name, yes. But
he's, probably Russian born, and he's in America now.
All right, but that's just, he's a famous American interviewer or something. I don't know.
He gets a lot of very famous like guests, but the man has no charisma, and he's just dull as a tart, And,
so what you mean is that me then, or
no? It's just I think like I've tried to say this before. I think the podcasting world and what we do, we're on the airwaves. So just like the old Art Bell show or some of the most successful shows on radio, the more diverse and
that's what this show has been like for like 5 years now. I mean,
diverse viewpoints,
precisely. But the thing is, like,
being able to clash is a good thing that drives viewership, I feel like.
Right, but not having arguments to the point of like not liking each other, and then other things which we've had recently, which I found actually really got me to the point of like, I might just delete the YouTube channel,
No, don't do that. There's too much good material there.
No, I realized in the end, because that would be just selfish on my part, and basically then I would, a month later regret it and then think, well, I've lost all of that stuff. I've done stuff like that in the past a bit, but you see, I'm not here to just host people who don't bring anything into the videos. Like with you bring something, right?
I appreciate it.
Yeah. But I don't, at the same time, I don't want to be in this kind of mindset of just nose to the grindstone over podcasts, which at the end of the day should be kind of easygoing. Like, I'm not getting up in the middle of the night to start saying you've got to vote in this poll to save Elon for Twitter. You're like, I was watching that Hassan Abbey, and he was talking about how anyone who's got a podcast should not be in charge of anything, and I completely agree. I think, like, this is not a podcast, though, and many people realize that. So,
did you hear that he did that supposedly just to weed out the bots? And that that was just a kind of like a setup to find out who was a bot account.
That's the poll.
The poll.
Yeah, but at the same time, it showcases how he doesn't have. He's not serious about Twitter. He's just trying to.
That's a lot of money he spent to not be serious.
Yeah, I know, but the thing is, he could probably make money on selling it to someone else. You see.
So we can have censorship back again. Who wants that?
Well, he. From what little I know, he is effectively censoring Twitter, actually, in terms of the things it can host. Like, you can't it's making it difficult for people to just post stuff from Facebook, for one thing, because Facebook is not owned by Twitter, is it? They're different, right? They're not. Meta is Facebook. Is Twitter?
Meta is like, man, Mark Zuckerberg, bro. If Mark's listening, all you got to do, bro, is there's games out there that play in VR where you have whole big worlds. You could even do like the old 1964 World's Fair and reproduce it in VR in pretty much stunning detail. But he's got this 1994
stuff like that, though, is he? He's just
desktop 1994 graphics.
Yeah, he's stuck in 1994.
I don't know. I don't understand. Like, he can't. He doesn't have the coding talent to get.
You mean Fate of Atlantis, Indiana Jones, and stuff?
It's almost like Fate of Atlantis. Yeah.
It's that level of.
Reference.
It's like
Good
even
reference.
back then though. My brother used to play all this stuff, and that's why I had that. The picture of Will Poulter with the actor in Bandersnatch. He's the programmer for that. Did you watch that Netflix? Yeah.
Yeah, I like
And
that.
my brother was saying how good he was in that, and I recognized just how good he was in that kind of that, like the 80s
Poulter.
computer
I think
Bandersnatch. Will Poulter.
Yeah, Will Poulter. I think he was a good candidate for Joker, actually.
Yeah, he's a really
The
good
way
actor.
he
I never
looks.
realized how good he was actually. He looked like kind of notable as a youngster, like because of his certain, facial features, but he really grew into them. And then when I saw the film Detroit, I was like, shit, this guy can act. Like this is good,
Before Skarsgård, he was supposed to be Pennywise. Right before they picked Skarsgård, he was the.
Well, that's funny you mentioned that because last night
guy.
I found the story of it, or whatever it's called, Pennywise the Story, which covers mainly. It doesn't make it clear because they're sort of trying to sell it to all the fans. So it's like it does cover mainly the Tim Curry version though, and so I thought it was going to be about the nature of Pennywise, but it's more like just an overall. They're talking about the script writing early stages of the TV.
Oh, okay.
They were going to make it like 10 episodes. George Romero was on board, and it's on Freevee, so I was watching it like free, but with ads. And
that would
honestly, it's a really good. And then I just started zoning out after about 45 minutes, and I thought, right, I've got to go to bed now. This is just like, but I really wanted to watch the rest of it, and
it would have been cool. Possibly. Yeah, it would have been cool as a longer series like that.
Yeah, I really like the whole It. Yeah. It's clearly one of King's best things that he's done, but I think like the It series actually is still probably somewhat underrated in some ways, but the movies that we had more recently are like an updating and quite good, I would argue.
So can we talk about that for a second?
Sure, yeah.
It's funny. You hear these rumors about when they filmed the new one, that they actually like thought about and maybe filmed that last scene that's in the book. And if you think about like what the ritual was called that they had to do for Pennywise, they called it the ritual Chud, right? Chud, yeah. CH.
There's a film in the 80s called Chud, obviously, and Chud 2, and yeah.
Is there? Okay, but in the 80s and early 90s, when I was in high school, when I was in grade school, Chud was like basically, without getting too vulgar, how in the book it says like that when they have sex at the end or whatever, the kids, and she talks about Benny pulling out his cock, and she says it's too girthy, right? Basically, Chud was another.
That's actually in the book.
Yeah, Chud was another word for a girthy penis back in the day. So for him to make that ritual called Chud, it just always like I don't understand why nobody else has picked up on this, because we all knew the word Chud before. Like I never knew it was in a book when I was in grade school, but I heard it on the playground. You're such a chud.
They made the film Chud in 1984. In that,
what's that about?
I'm just trying to see what it's an acronym for. But the thing is, if you go back to the 70s and the 80s, there wasn't a lot of like what you might call. It's not like there was an intelligence, but it was just for the heck of it. Like people would just steal stuff from one film, put it in another. Like after The Exorcist, there were all these Italian films coming out where everybody finds an amulet, and it's like, and it's like, but there's no thought behind it. So it's just hollow. It doesn't scare anyone really beyond just like, what the fuck are these Italians playing at? Like, this is just, like some of the stuff they did was pretty good. There's so many of these, and I find them fascinating, kind of like terrible Exorcist derivatives. And I mean, anyway, basically in the film Chud, cannibalistic humanoid underground dwellers in the I believe there was a sequel, but also, and I think that was pretty successful as a film, certainly on video, because I remember it well at the time. And in the Urban Dictionary, this chud is also an unattractive person, other than its cannibalistic humanoid underground dweller, and also an unattractive person whose defining characteristic of their personality is their egotism. Most often used to describe typically one-dimensional preps. That means like a preppy, doesn't it? Chauchy, or the like, a particularly mean insult. It should not be taken or thrown around lightly.
Okay, that's what I mean. That insult, that slang term of it being an insult, it had a meaning to that insult that they're maybe not listing there. And that underground dweller.
No, there's an actual like phrase or like something that could be said within a film, perhaps like, those chuds drinking on the patio of O'Reilly's are going to get egg-salad sandwich bombed back to the caves they crawl out of. It's like, okay.
That's right. Yeah, that's correct. Okay, so
it could also just be an asshole, basically.
But that first definition does sound like Pennywise, an underground cannibalistic dweller.
Yeah. Like, for instance, Pennywise is not supposed to be an unpleasant person with too much egotism. They're talking about the
he definitely lives underground and eats people, though.
The definition of clowns and clownism. Like, there are some people who actually have footage of this one bit of where they could have made this documentary like 10 hours, but instead there's a very brief clip. It's really rapid editing, and a clown comes into a room, and it's like some kind of counseling session or something. This woman like literally throws something onto the floor and goes, ah! Gets up out of a chair and stuff. It's like, and I was like, is this real? Like, is this something that was really filmed? And it is a genuine thing. Like, there are people who don't like clowns, do they? They find them, I don't know. I think it's the makeup and because you see, the thing with the Pennywise thing is he goes from this kind of, I mean, he never looks particularly happy, but he goes from this kind of fake happiness, and then he'll just go into this stern, and that's the bit where people like lose themselves a bit. But
well, there's always something unsettling about, a lot of clowns back in the day. They have like, I think 3 styles of makeup that they do, and one of those is the sad clown. So you got this stoic sad, but he's happy and sad. It's something like uncanny about that. That's
not scary. It's not meant to be scary in particular. It's more like it's part of the drama of the whole thing. But I think that the thing with clowns is sometimes, particularly with these traveling carnivals that you had in America and this country particularly, I think we were less into the whole clown thing.
You guys have minds more than clowns, yes?
Probably, yeah, from that French influence, that kind of, and
Europe, yeah.
We had clowns, but people here were just like, oh, just not into it. Like, I don't know, it's different sensibility. Like, people here would throw probably tomatoes at the clowns. Get it off. We want to see the massive elephant. Like, okay, we've seen the massive elephant. Let's go home now. That's it, basically. But in America, they would have these traveling carnivals, and I think the thing is, it's like that thing. What was the film called now? I forgot it. Nightmare Alley. You've got to think about the background of the people who would be in these roles as clowns, because you've got to be maybe a bit low down in life to want to get into that. Doing the makeup and everything is just like it looks like their mouth almost is like bleeding. And then when you think about the makeup Lynch used on, for instance, Laura and Leyland in Fire Walk With Me as well, which is almost clown-like, isn't it?
Like they've been biting the heads off chickens. Kind of.
It is like that, but it's like in Bueller's Cabin, where if you listen to that, especially on headphones in The Return, there's just this undercurrent of clucking chickens. And I was watching it one time, and I was just thinking, like, this is hilarious, but at the same time, there's something deeply unsettling about it, because we don't see the chickens. Like, where are they?
we see the chickens in what did Jack do? The chicken comes in.
Pardon?
Right? That the chicken comes in, and what did Jack do? the monkey.
I forgot about that. Yeah, he does actually.
So the
and I think the chicken is actually something. Chickens, for instance, and birds. We also see a chicken in Inland Empire. I think when
in the pedophile underground, it's slang for underage girls. Chicken.
Yeah, Beulah's Cabin. There's something going off there like that. I don't want to think about really, particularly like the chickens are probably in a kind of coop underneath the actual house.
You got
or somewhere
back there
behind.
somewhere.
Yeah, basically, and it's those two guys in the like. There's a tall guy and a smidget, both disabled looking. Like
scary, bro.
That bit is like
that Beulah's Cabin to me. I thought that was like maybe like a trucker's stop to like get laid kind of place.
Partly, yeah. I think that it's a world of truck drivers because what do we see in Firewalk with Me? In deleted scenes, deleted.
Right.
Probably because just timing, but also because it's not essential. We know what Laura was up to.
It wasn't essential. It did get cut out.
But it should have been in the film, though. It should have been at least an edited version because.
But for him to call back to it, yeah.
Some of the filming in it is really good as well, like the shots of the truck coming down the road and the highway. It was like they edited out some scenes that were just so well filmed. So. Yeah.
In that scene too, where he gets Laura and Leland and Sarah to play their characters as themselves or whatever, where they're sitting in the bar.
Right, yeah.
She does say
between
something
two adults or like, whatever it's called.
Yeah, she does. Laura says something about like all these hands or all these manners and something like that, right?
Yeah.
I thought about the truck drivers when she said that.
Yeah, Leyland, it wasn't me. He still denies that it was him. It's like with Leyland, he was saving Laura from the life that she fell into, which he understood because he himself was abused as a child.
I still think that
don't make me do this. Like,
don't make me. I still think that in a way, he kept her from being possessed by Bob, basically, something like that, which would be symbolically the cycle of abuse continuing on through her. And so when
many people mistake this for schizophrenia and all that kind of thing, but it's I would describe it as split personality. Like I saw this guy and he was arrested in Derby, and I don't really like talking about stuff like this, but he'd stabbed and killed 3 people inside a house with all women, and also stabbed himself as well, but it wasn't anything. And he was just totally disinvolved, like when the police officer, because there was camera footage of this, which I slightly think, I don't know why we're seeing this because it's turned into entertainment, but at the same time, it raises awareness perhaps. And he was just completely disinvolved. Like, I think I may have done something in the house. Like, what?
You guys have a fentanyl problem like we do? That's it.
He had it. There was definitely something like that maybe involved because when his age came up, I was like, he could easily have been 10 years older than that. But he was like, one of these people who's lean. And he was a fairly presentable looking fella who could have done okay in life, if only. But there was something up there, and it was just, that was terrible. Yes. It warned before, although we do not go in the house. I can't even imagine being the police officer sometimes. I've seen when I've been arrested for drunkenness and stuff and stupid things that I did. I saw like a senior detective. He says, with medication and stuff like that, do you not think that some of the things that I've seen that I've not been given medication that I take?
Oh,
and I'm like, okay,
enough said.
Intense moment, like I don't, if anybody watches this and then thinks, okay, James is like a criminal, that's not what happened. I was in the police station and they were like, what's he doing here? Like,
yeah, what's going on?
Because they used to just seeing people coming in covered in mud or something like, I don't know what's happened.
Yeah.
I can't describe it, but yeah, I used to work in a video store, and some of the shit that went on in there, people pulling up in a van, screeching, and then handing over cards to pay for things. I'm like, okay, your name's Janice, then. You're a man. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Changing world.
Is that your? And then I'm like, is that your van over there? Like, and it's like, no. And I'm thinking I should write down the number of this van. There's not enough time though.
Did you have many?
He just slowly backs off, and then in the street, it's like burning off. Like,
did you have many thefts? Did you have many thefts when you worked at this video store?
Many what?
Thefts.
What do you mean?
Thieves stealing, like
yeah, all the time. There was like teenagers who would come in and openly swipe sweets right in front of me. Actually, early teenagers. Sometimes they would come up, actually grab we used to have like things that we probably can't buy as much now, like fruit gums, fruit pastels, put the whole packet in their mouth in front of me because they knew that I was like, I didn't get angry about things like that. Particularly, I got angry after the fact sometimes. I would come out of the thing. They want to just goad you. So they knew what the kind of thing that I would respond with. I would come out and say, put it back now and all this kind of thing. Right, that's unsellable now. You've ruined it. Get out and all this kind of thing.
But mostly,
they just stand around in the shop. They don't care about me.
Mostly candy thefts.
No, it was like, I don't know, there were probably other things, but
DVDs, box sets, stuff like that.
No, because we didn't have anything live on the store. So,
okay.
But if they had a chance to get back behind this, they would do. But I was probably one reason why they kept me on was because I was relatively like tall and sort of.
We had a big problem in Chicago.
Because I was not a particularly reliable employee. I mean,
when the box sets came out, a lot of people would steal those here in Chicago from the Blockbuster.
Absolutely,
yeah. They were worth a lot of money.
You give someone a chance for it to steal anything, but the thing is, like, Blockbuster was just almost dwindling, but like just trudging along, and it got to the point where it would have, like, what films were out? What's that one with James Gandolfini in it, and it's got like Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, or
I forget the name of it. I know the one you're talking about.
It was when like the Fast and Furious films started coming out, and they'd get like, say, 50, 60 copies of that coming in on DVD, and you just think like,
right,
okay, this store is just turning into basically like,
we need a wall of that.
Films that I don't understand, films that I don't have any interest in, really. I mean, yeah, I watched the first Fast and the Furious and I thought it was okay, but yeah, I mean, it's surprising really that I wasn't sacked from the things I was doing. I was kept recommending the film Dick and saying to people, "Have you thought about getting Dick out?" And they'd be like, double taking. What? Getting Dick out? And I'm like, yeah, that.
It's an okay movie.
The thing is, I increased the popularity of that film immeasurably. But the thing is, like, I nearly got suspended for saying that the film Glitter was rubbish.
Glitter?
Yeah, with Mariah Carey.
I
mean, can you believe it? It was just so stupid. Like,
shit.
And then my manager, he was like, "You do know that, like, basically Blockbuster is fascist?" And I'm like, "Okay, thank you, Malcolm. That's really helpful." Like, Malcolm, he was a bit like OCD for sure, and he would be like, "Okay, can you just put all of these into alphabetical order now? I want them done." Okay, that's like, okay, I've got 1,000 things here to put into alphabetical order. Really, like, can't we just put them A's just generally? No, I want it done exactly. This is going to take me an hour at least, 2 hours. No, all right, then do it. Okay, just get it done, James. Shut up. Like, and then we'll do the windows. Okay. Then we have to go out into the street, clean all the windows, come back in. And we did have like drug addicts come in and stuff like that. And then I'd be having like these weird conversations with them. And Malcolm the manager would be like to me, I thought he's fine. I'm like, really? So it was a bit new for me, but
yeah. With
He was
Skarsgård,
okay, really.
you know, Pennywise Skarsgård, you think he's typecast because they put him in The Crow now?
Well, yeah, they are. They're just using. Well, they're just appealing to his talents because obviously he would make that film successful, I imagine. So
It makes me worried for him. You know,
everything now with films is so cutthroat. Like, I think if Avatar 2 is not hitting a certain box office, they're going to go, right, we're only going to do one more sequel now. So
it never will.
Because it's got terrible reviews, apparently.
That was a fucking horrible mistake. Disney don't know what they're doing. Years ago, when they made that part of the park, it made no sense. Nobody wanted it.
No, the first film was just basically like a novelty attraction, which was new at the time. Because it's like this new, then the CGI thing was not so, it was the best CGI ever.
Yeah.
Now they've made another film with exactly the same CGI as 10 years ago or more.
It was the first time we had the new kind of 3D glasses, too. The first
correct, one. Which now are not, you know.
Yeah.
Is this new Avatar The Way of the Water, which is also a bad title?
So the next one's going to be The Way of the Fire and then The Way of the Earth. It's like that.
More like the way of the Exploding Fist. That was actually a game I used to have. And many people will have heard of that karate game, but like it's a terrible name, Way of the Water. More like the Way of the Shit. It's just lame.
Did you happen to see his interview where he gave I think it was the Hollywood Reporter, one of those magazines, where he said that testosterone is a poison and a toxin that we should weed out of men's bodies? That was a good way. Like James Cameron. That was the way he promoted this film. That was what he said. Really?
Well, anyway, if that's what he's saying, then I just think like this is the danger of good directors. Great directors, even like him, just becoming
the guy who did Terminator, right? The most
like lost in their kind of high tower. You know, if that's just nonsense. I mean, obviously, everyone needs a certain amount of testosterone. Yes, excess can be.
It's
damaging,
but it's not healthy for men. Like hearts, you know, to not have it. You know, I mean, as you grow older, you have less and less. You know.
Also, it's a myth. Like he's just talking bollocks, like airy fairy new age crap. Like
why would he even bring that up?
The reason for people, for instance, aggression, like you know, like say you might see a 75-year-old man getting angry about something. This is not due to excess testosterone. This is due to people releasing shit films like Avatar 2. You know, I mean,
feel the rage.
Like, go back and make another Terminator film, James. Just stop it.
Yeah, the guy who made Aliens and Terminator, right?
Precisely. And Aliens, that's about the most gung-ho 80s film you can get. Like, lock and load. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
You know.
Like, you know.
Although, yeah, I mean, yeah, I know he's got this whole feminist thing going, like, but that was inadvertent in the 80s, partly. Like, yes, there's the character of Vasquez or whatever. And of course, you know, he started off with Ridley Scott. And the thing with James Cameron is he's just like, I mean, he must have made an absolute fortune out of his films. So
very technical.
Perhaps too technical, not enough attention to characters. Although I don't think that was true, for instance, in the 90s and back. If you watch the original Terminator, for me, you look at that and you like, it looks really, really well done for the time it was made in.
But Avatar 1 is like not a film I would ever say, oh boy, I got to watch that one again or return to that one.
No, I watched like the first probably 45 minutes of it or so, and I was just like,
awful.
There's no story. I don't understand what's happening. It's just like everything is just the visuals. Like Sam Worthington, what's he in it for?
It's like a generic VR Twilight Zone.
I mean, I'm not criticizing Sam Worthington, but he just doesn't. Now he's just like B-movie king, isn't he?
Dude, what has he ever been in besides this? I mean, he's just like a background guy, right?
I don't know. He's been in that one Terminator Salvation. Was that him or was that Courtney?
Oh.
I always get mixed up. Like there's a few. They've gone for these more like average-looking guys as leading men, kind of thing. The other day, Voltaire. I don't really know whether he was serious, but he was recommending Bullet Train, and he said movie of the year, one of the movies of the year, and I was like, yeah, I'm not sure about that one.
My brother said it was just bleh. I was like, whatever.
But I think really Voltaire's a bit like, what is there out there at the moment to worth watching? And it's like, I started watching Bullet Train, and I was just like, well, what's going off? Like,
what? Yeah, what's going on?
Brad Pitt's an assassin, but he makes lots of mistakes. Oh, I've got bad luck. Someone's on the phone with him. It's set in Tokyo, so it's got all the other actors and stuff at the start, but then it goes to him. And he's like walking along as if he's supposed to be like 27. But we know that Brad Pitt is nearly 60. Like, although I know in real life his girlfriend is like 30 years younger than him, but that's not even real, probably, as well.
He's 60 and he's drinking that baby blood, so he's good to go. I'm kind of interested.
No, he's not.
I'm kind of interested in this Babylon.
He's just got good genes, but I think that he probably gets the best diet and
he's directly related
supplements and stuff recommended. I bet he's taken something like testosterone replacement and stuff as well.
He's directly related to the Bushes.
I thought he said we don't talk politics and stuff. So
no, I'm talking about he's related. He's in that.
I'm not. Yeah, I mean, Brad Pitt. I've never got it. I don't think he's particularly the best looking guy on the planet or any of this shit. It's just like he's got a certain acting ability though. I'll give him that, and he was pretty good. I will say in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That was
Fight Club was pretty. He's pretty. Manly in that, I would say, man's man kind of thing.
Kind of, yeah. He plays that kind of role, but the thing is, as soon as he becomes like shirtless in it and stuff, he's like literally ripped to the absolute maximum, to the point where these guys in there who would just grab him and just push him to the floor. So it doesn't.
Him and Edward Norton.
Of course, the character is imaginary anyway. So
him and Edward Norton are in the bus, and Brad Pitt points up to a picture, and it's like a GQ magazine guy.
Yeah, is that what guys are supposed to look like? Is that
what guys are supposed to look like? So he is not, a super like bodybuilder ripped. I mean, he's a little ripped. He's just average man ripped. I wouldn't say it's
he's just lean,
overdone or anything.
He's naturally lean.
He's not The Rock,
he's always had a lean build. He's never got like put on a particular level of weight compared to say Johnny Depp, who has put on weight, for instance.
Speaking of Avatar and baffling decisions, I got a chance to watch The Rock play Black Adam the other day, and oh my god, no wonder they're rebooting that whole thing, because that was fucking atrocious, James. It was a bad.
I didn't do particularly
bad movie.
I think it probably did okay in China or something, but it's like
it's awful.
No one went to the cinema to see that one. It's just like
it starts out kind of good with the backstory and everything. It really does. It seems like there was maybe an original vision, and then reshoots effed it all up or something. I think I did hear about pretty extensive reshoots that cost.
Well, let's talk about a film that you did enjoy then.
All right. Well, we talk about the Fablemans.
Just before that, let me just mention this book, which I've had for a long, long time, that I managed to find at one point when I was quite.
Get it in the frame a little more. We can
road
see.
Movies. I mean, you can see it's a very 80s sort of style cover there. But if you go to like.
Is Spielberg's first feature in that? That's a road movie.
Of course. So here we go.
Goldie Hawn?
No. Duel.
Mm.
So they've got. Is it Dennis Weaver or anyway? It's like I think Duel is clearly one of his best films, but Dennis Weaver. And so before that, he made another TV movie called Something Evil, but people really uphold Jewel as being like majorly the thing that took him into the mainstream because it was successful on TV, and then they thought, right, we're going to have a cinema release for this. So, presumably,
Jewel,
the
musician Jewel.
I don't know if you're now like just.
No, I don't know what you mean. But Jewel, what? What do you mean, Jewel? Is that a company?
Is this a joke now or something?
No, I literally don't know what you're talking about. I think Jewel has starred in like 2 movies. Jewel. I thought you were saying Jewel.
Why would I be talking about Spielberg and then talking about Jewel?
I don't
about
know.
Jewel.
Yeah, I don't know. I heard she.
That's from 1972, so that's 50 years old now.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense, so I didn't know what you meant.
Yeah, Jewel, her acting career flopped big time. So because she never really had any charisma as a performer. So, but I did think she did a few good songs, but unfortunately they just weren't good enough. Like I really like her song "Standing Still," but
every girl in the 90s wanted to go see Jewel.
Yeah, but just not in the 2000s.
No, she disappeared.
And when she did that album, I can't remember what it was called, but she did an album around 20 years ago that was quite good. This Way or something with Standing Still on it. That was a good pop country hit. Then she did one after that where she was like, "I'm a material girl in a material world." It was like kind of. She went pop, and it was sort of like tongue in cheek, of course. But people, the record buying company, were just like, "What is this?"
She covered Material Girl.
No, she did a song. If you've not seen it, then you need to see it. In the video, she's like opening cans of Coke and kind of posing there, like, with water being sprayed on her and all this kind of thing. It's like, but the record company public were just like,
the hell?
They just didn't want it. I mean, because they've already got Britney. Why do they need that? So,
yeah, Britney.
Then a lot of the record buying public are just not ironic. They don't want like people taking the piss.
I think Britney could use a serious Beatle-esque type band nowadays with serious music instead of.
All right, let's stop going off on these tangents now. We'll get to the Fablemans, please. I don't think that will ever happen, unfortunately. You've said it before, but I think Britney, at this point, she should just go into doing like writing songs for others and maybe get into acting or something like that. Because she has presence,
I would put her with maybe acoustic band, put her on a stool so she don't have to dance around like a.
Oh, come on, bloody hell! Are you having a laugh at? People will be like,
I'm serious.
Yeah, but that would only last maybe one acoustic tour. They could do it like MTV Unplugged. Yeah. Anything which would actually give people something of a like appreciation for actually her talent. I think that would
her singing talent.
She can sing, and she was always an excellent performer. Everybody knows that. But I think she was,
you
churned up and churned out. Unfortunately,
you see her on Instagram still like, oh, I'm dancing, I'm doing this pose.
I know, but she posts like basically naked on there. It's like, what the hell are you doing? Like,
she don't have to do that, right?
You understand why the conservative, her dad having these strict rules for her, but of course there's a middle ground, and I
think she's a good mama though. Anytime
I think she's okay now. So
anytime I see her with the kids, she seems pretty like she's trying.
I don't think with someone like her, basically, that keeping her under lock and key works.
Well, yeah, you don't know. There was that Black Mirror episode that was supposed to be Miley Cyrus, was supposed to be.
I think that Britney may have had addiction issues. There's that.
Yeah, I mean,
and it may have been a lot linked to that kind of thing. Because I mean, the company she kept, that Kevin Federline, I mean, he was just like
K-Fed. Yeah,
he looked like a drug mule or something.
Sure.
I'm sure he wasn't, but
who doesn't have their issues in the music industry though when it comes to drugs?
Yeah, but when somebody's got tattoos on the neck, you just think, wow.
You don't want to bring him home to meet Pappy? That kind of thing.
No, I don't have anything against it. It's just like nowadays you have people like with some kind of like something on their neck, the way of the water around here, like, and you just think, why have you done this? What? People are going to look at you your whole life because you've got a tattoo on your neck. You're not going to be able to get that job because you've got a tattoo on your neck. I don't mean to be horrible, but I mean, you'll be able to get like maybe a few jobs, but not.
The way things are going, maybe they'll get the job because they have that tattoo on their neck.
Maybe in America, not here. Here, people are just mean. They're just. I know someone who owned a shop. Here was running a shop. She went for a job as a cleaner the other day and got rejected.
That's brutal.
I know. That's what the trouble with this country is. It's like Henry Rollins would always say about in England, like, say if you're a musician or something in America, you've got a much better chance of success. Like for someone like him, he always says, I've got no talent, which is completely untrue, of course. But like in England, though, it really is true.
Henry takes a freaking long time to come out with a record. We'll put it that way. He was great in Black Flag back in the day, but
no, he stopped. He doesn't sing anymore now. So
that's what I'm saying. Oh, well, and even when he does, it was few and far between.
Yeah, he
sure would get promoted though for that if he did that one album every 10 years. Like you'd see it everywhere.
If he did another album of music now, he's in his 60s and everything, it would just have to be probably hard. But like he said he just ran out of things to say. So
you know why? Because he's a liar.
Well, yeah, I mean his real name's Henry Garfield, so and in his recent shows he talked about his dad dying and how he just didn't care. Like, and it's like, Henry, come on now.
I seen some videos of him when he was younger, and he just seemed like a jerk, man, back in the day.
No, he was. He will admit it himself. I think he had quite a bad upbringing. His dad was an absolute racist, bigot kind of, but very successful economist, and would drive him around Washington, D.C. shouting racist slurs at people and stuff like this. He was effed up as a child, and he was sexually abused as well as a youngster. So
that's no fun.
That's why he was like he was. And now he's nothing like that. But he's like, just a couple of years ago, a man came all the way over from Sweden or somewhere, I can't remember, and he invaded his property whilst he was in it.
Oh, yeah.
And actually fought with him. Immediately he moved after that. Because he just thought, I think it was probably time to move anyway, because it was more like a place for the people who work with him doing his book company, all that to be. But he had like people during the pandemic who went out and just camped out on his roof. And he'd eventually have to go up there. And the mistake he makes is that he goes up there and investigates. And they're like, hey, we just thought this property was vacant, or we were interested in buying it. He's like, well, no, I live here, so.
Pretty vacant.
Very much, yeah. He said I was living in this ridiculously large house, and I didn't need it, so. Yeah, he's bought property in Nashville apparently now. So
a lot of these guys have like a mansion, and they live up in one room, and they don't really leave that one room, A lot of these rock stars.
Well, that's more true of Henry than anyone else, because he's like a single guy, and
all this time later he's single too. What does that tell you?
Well, he should have been. It tells you that he's fucked up in the head.
Yeah, something
like, same as me basically. So
okay,
I'm not to that level, because I didn't have my best friend shot to death in front of me. So, but yeah, I think as soon as you get involved in the music world in Hollywood and things like this, it's like it can do a thing on you, and I would never want to be a part of anything like that. It's just full up of people who are just like, musicians and everything. They are great. Like, the thing primarily is Henry has always been interested in the music world. For me, that has never been interesting. I'm more interested in films and all this kind of stuff. So it's
The Hollywood thing, it makes me really wish we could see what Mulholland Drive would have been. You know, what would that have explored really?
well, if he did a director's cut or something, although of course,
Well, I mean, if it had been picked up as a series, let's say.
sure, but I mean,
He'll never tell us. You know, like I would love to hear an interview where he.
yeah, but they might not have had an idea. That's
What,
my opinion. I think they may not have had a full idea of what it would be, but I think that the film is essentially like a truncated version of what it would have been. But as a series, I think it would have worked a lot better because I had issues right from back then. In 2002 when I saw it at the cinema, I thought this ending doesn't seem right. It doesn't fit the film for me. And sometimes I do feel Lynch does that. He'll like slap an ending on, but it's really just it gives you this feeling of is that the ending? And
I mean,
I think he's been doing that since Blue Velvet. Even,
Lynch and Stanley Kubrick. When I first saw their movies, they have like a way about them that's almost sort of put puts you off a little bit at first,
distancing slightly, and
then they but there's something about them that keeps you coming back, and
pulls you back in. Yeah, it's
looking for clues, and it grows on you to such a point where you can't even like live without the films almost.
Yeah, the films are like life affirming, I would argue, but
I don't know how many.
I don't want this video to be like we've gone an hour now and we've not even touched on the Fablemans. So.
Yeah, I don't know how many times I've seen The Shining or like 2001: Space Odyssey. I mean, it must be like 20 times now.
So you saw the Fablemans then.
Fablemans, yeah.
Where did you see it?
It was available on Apple Plus for $20 to rent.
Are you serious? You've spent $20 on it?
Yes, sir. And
do you not think that you'd be better saving this money and then ending up buying like a laptop or something?
I was too curious about why would this man, Steven Spielberg, give up the chance to direct final film.
You've really upset me now, Mandela Man. I thought you were going to get $10,000 laptop.
No, it's the laptop's coming, bro.
Okay.
Supposedly, but
coming.
I had to see why Steven would choose not to direct his signature character's final film, that being Indiana Jones, and give it to James Mangold. Now I've heard
final.
Yeah. Well, there is going to be a video game, a AAA video game after that, so it will tell another Indiana Jones story.
Deleted scenes, other stuff they may have filmed that they'll tag on to another film with Chris Pratt.
I think I don't know about.
But put Shia LaBeouf in it. I completely agree. But let's just concentrate on the Fablemans, please.
I don't know about Chris Pratt, but I think that if they wanted to, that they could come up with a script to do.
Chris Pratt would be no good.
A totally de-aged Indy the whole movie. There's a way to do that. Where we don't, even this movie that's coming out, it didn't have to be old Indy, flashback to young Indy, or time travel. It didn't have to be that way. It could have been all young Indy with a stuntman performing most of the action.
I'm giving you about another half hour, and then we'll finish.
This is the magic. Okay? Yeah, this is the magic of movies. There's ways to do that. But anyway, I think it was worth the $20 to rent it. For $25, I could have owned it, but that just means I get the digital copy that I could watch anytime. I don't really own the physical copy, They had that option on there. So I paid $20, and as a non-spoilery type of a review, because you haven't seen it yet or whatever, and Voltaire and them haven't seen it, I would say pay the money and see it if you're a Steven Spielberg fan. If you love 2001, or not 2001, I'm sorry, Close Encounters, and all these movies, Poltergeist, some of these movies. So, what
Well,
can
he didn't direct Poltergeist, really. I mean,
he was there. No, he didn't.
Okay, if you love, for
He
instance,
he was there as
the
producer,
the
hands
highly esteemed film 1941 with.
down. It's not total garbage, but it's very like 1941. I question like why he made certain choices on that.
Spielberg was just like kind of trying to make
Like what was
like
that?
the Deer Hunter, but going wacky. It had this kind of sort of
It's not wacky.
atmospheric feel of like this is America, but at the same time,
I like the practical effects in that movie, but
yeah,
it's like if it's wacky, it's not maybe wacky enough, or it's
right.
too wacky without being wacky enough.
It's like with Close Encounters of the Third Kind, that has like Richard Dreyfuss can balance it between going too far into just silliness and then the seriousness of what is happening to him as a character, where you can think this man is having, a really big moment in his life. It's not a mental breakdown, but it's like,
So I heard
family stress and everything. And yeah,
I heard that when he wrote Close Encounters of the Third Kind, he actually at first meant that to be Dreyfuss's actual character from Jaws. That was meant to be like a Jaws sequel for that character. He eventually changed the name and gave him a different family, but it's so much the same archetype.
Is that covered in the Fablemans?
No.
Let's just stick to the Fablemans now.
All right, well then we gonna have to get into spoilers without. I would say everybody go watch it if you don't want the spoilers review, because you can't talk about it without spoiling some stuff. Fair warning, everybody. So okay, let's get into this weird dream-like film of Steven.
I don't think it's done. I mean, it's done okay. I think it's certainly got an audience out there, but it's certainly not like.
I heard the first screening got like standing ovation. Hollywood was loving it.
Critically, it's probably done very well, I imagine. Yes,
I would say it should.
I wouldn't have expected it to be like. How can it compete against all the things that are being released at the moment?
There's
like Super Mario Brothers or something. I mean, Jesus.
Well, next summer. I mean, Super Mario don't come till next summer, and next summer is going to be like a lot of like really big, huge movies, like a huge slate, almost like you would have in the 80s when you really think about all the films that are coming out.
Well, like a huge slate of trash.
No,
because I mean, in the 80s there was a lot of trash, but
okay,
I think
just alone, I could think of at least 3 movies I'm going to have to go to the theater to see. Oppenheimer. The Mario thing, I'm gonna have to see.
Have you seen the poster for Oppenheimer? It says on it, shot on IMAX film. So it's so kind of Nolan's making it very clear this is a film to see in the cinema.
I think I'm gonna prefer to maybe see it in Dolby Digital, personally.
If you see it in,
I'm not a fan of IMAX, to be honest with you, James. I never liked it. The screen is actually too big and too up in my face for me.
It never looks that sharp on IMAX for me, but
what's that?
It never looks that sharp. It's like
right.
It's not true IMAX in a lot of these multiplexes anyway. It's just their version of IMAX. The real IMAX should be about like 3 double-decker buses high. Like there is one in Bradford like that. But I can't travel like 80 miles just to go and see a film. Really, my brother used to work there and everything. So
the one here, I think, is at the Shed Aquarium, if I remember right, somewhere like that. It's one of them.
Like if you see it on that, I saw The Dark Knight on that, and I was like, literally, okay, it feels like I'm literally abseiling down towards a building, watching The Dark Knight and everything, and.
Oh, the building shots must have been awesome.
Yeah, I mean, those were the IMAX bits. Not all of the film was IMAX, but the thing is, it didn't make the film better. It just made it an experience. It's like Do you know what I mean? The film,
Yeah, I
just
don't.
seeing something really big, it's just like being on a roller coaster. You're like, kind of, oh yeah, like. I mean, I hate being on things like roller coasters, really, but
I mean, I could probably name a handful, maybe 10 directors in this day and age
I
where
pretty much agree with you, really.
if they're gonna come out with a movie, I'm gonna go see it, and I would say Nolan is at the top of that
Neil Breen.
10 directors list. What's that?
Neil Breen.
No, actually, I'm not a fan. I mean,
why are you all in dark now? I can't see you.
I like what Neil does, but I don't understand by now why he doesn't kick it up a notch.
He's
his ego.
I don't like what he does. In fact, I think he should give up. So
really, he's very popular.
Yeah, but he's now like milking it because at first he genuinely didn't know what he's doing with his.
Did you catch his new announcement that he's making before his announcement for the next one? Because it's like unbelievable. Have you seen that?
No, I'm sure I'll catch it at some point. For me, I just find him.
You got to see that. Yeah,
he's become like a self-parody of himself, partly, but
he's playing that up for sure. Anyway,
I don't really find it like that amusing. Like when people are just like, "Yeah, I'm a bit out there, and I've got Asperger's or something," and they're like, basically, at the end of the day, no, you've not. You've just got really bad taste. Like nobody has a mullet now, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have anything against him. I think, in fact, he's equally as good as Tommy Wiseau in many ways, but I do think that Tommy Wiseau does it better. That level of just pure insanity, like the stuff in the room, "you're tearing me apart, Lisa." That was like.
What makes that cool, though?
Arguably, it's actually good acting, but it's just at the same time shit.
It's his sincerity, though, that really sells it.
Precisely, yeah.
Yeah, he believes it.
And he's had big success going to London, for instance. Enough to cover his fares and stay over in London and then probably have sort of bit of savings. And he can do a performance there. My friend went there and saw him. And Tommy Wiseau was like saying to my friend, "Have you had something to drink? Take care on your way out in London and stuff." He could tell what my friend was like.
I got you.
Not like, he's not crazy or anything, but he's a bit of a bon vivant, perhaps is the word.
A what?
Well, likes
bon
to be.
Vivant?
The thing with me, like for instance, I've stayed in this area where I live and stuff, whereas my friend, he's gone to London. And he knows people who are like from all walks of life, like barristers, actors. Like people who have worked on, say, the corruption within the London police and are still doing now. And it had the toll it has on you, You've heard of like the Bloody Sunday inquiry, things like that, like top barrister in the country, like
yes, sir.
Yeah. And but a really decent person at the same time. But like someone I knew at the time, like when we were young and stuff, and they were just, it's a different world though, London and all that kind of thing. It's like you get the stark difference between wealth and sort of like poverty in London, for instance, more so than
no. We have that here.
Well, no, I'm just saying here it's like even more apparent somewhere like that. You could be in London, you could go to Kensington, Chelsea or something, you could find like something by accident, highly unlikely, of course, like a golden ring or a golden necklace, and it could be worth thousands, for instance. But I'm just saying as an example, but then you could just bump into some actor or something, or some TV personality or whoever. And but the thing is, within that world, it doesn't really mean anything. It's just like, okay.
Oh yeah.
Like my friend even bumped into Tom Cruise when they were filming Eyes Wide Shut.
Really?
Yeah, my mum, when she went down there with my brother, they saw Michael Jackson coming out of a hotel.
What do you think about what Stanley did with that? Was he trying to actually teach Tom and Nicole something about themselves with that film? I mean, seems like it. Seemed like he was
No,
making
I don't know about teaching, but I think he was definitely tapping into something that he knew that they were in. Yeah.
it seemed like he was making a
Well,
commentary.
I mean, just look at flipping Tom Cruise. He's like,
That's what I'm saying.
yeah, like when you're going down the road and you see an accident, you just know you're the only one who can help. You just know. And like they've done an edit of like Tom Cruise saying that and Lynch react. Then they put in Lynch going, bullshit, total fucking bullshit. Like the thing where he asked about product placement, and
I just saw Tom jumping out of an airplane. Did you see that? He's like,
oh no, please, not again.
Yeah, for promoting his. He's like, I'm filming Mission Impossible. I'm jumping out of the plane, but I just wanted to say,
you know, like the promo techniques they're doing for things and everything now.
Yeah.
This year, especially because there's been like kind of these bare big releases, sort of. It's gone a bit 80s-ified again, where then they push it loads towards the end of the year as if it's like a VHS release.
That's what I'm saying about next
Top Gun Maverick. They'll probably do like another promo of it next summer because it's been on the cinemas again. Everything that film has been massive.
When do you think the 80s nostalgia period will reboot will end? Because it seems to be going longer than most fads do. You know, we're going
a few more years at least.
Wow.
I don't think it'll finish because
usually
I think people go back to those films now and they realize just how strong some of them are. For instance, if you just look at like the original Ghostbusters, it has this like harder edge to it that films lack now.
The conservative edge, arguably, about business. You know,
I don't know about that. I think it's more to do with just
the
like
EPA.
It's the sensibility. This the lack of political correctness, the lack of like
the environmental.
It's not a political thing. It's like it's the opposite, really.
Think about the Environmental Protection Agency is the bad guy of the film. He wants to shut down they're trying to start a business.
No, I think you're just anyway. You're going to have to go back into the Fablemans now, and you just
okay. All right, so let's get into this Fablemans. Right, movie starts out with Steven as a little boy.
So you've got 15 minutes left now, and then I'm ending.
Okay. Movie starts out with Steven as a little boy. The whole movie has this blue. I would describe the movie as blue. Blue is the color scheme everywhere you look. It gives it kind of I don't know if it's color corrected. I imagine it's color corrected this way, but it has this certain blue that's the dresses that the mother wears. A lot of the family wears blue. You just see blue everywhere. It gives it this kind of dreamlike quality. And it shows how when Steven was young, he went to see the greatest show on earth with his parents. And this changed his whole mindset. He saw this. I've never seen the film. Have you? The greatest show on earth?
No, I would have said at some point if I'd seen it.
Okay. Well, in this film, there's a huge train robbery and a train crash. So he gets obsessed with this train crash, and he asks his dad to buy him a train. He gets obsessed with the train. He wants to crash the trains together. Okay. And it becomes like a thing, like that the parents, they're like, this is a very expensive train set. He keeps crashing together. So the mother, this woman, who I assume is obviously playing his mother, Michelle Williams, does a phenomenal job playing this woman. But what Steven is trying to say with this film is just like very weird and esoteric stuff. So as a fan who studied his whole career, I'll give you the rundown, right? Basically, his mother pulls him aside and says, okay, I'm gonna get you this camera, and we're gonna film secretly without your father knowing. We're gonna film the crashing of the train, and that way you can watch the crashing of the train. Oh, and you don't have to actually crash these together a bunch of times. You'll have the film, and you can watch that. So he goes, oh, okay. and he films
Yeah.
his ma, and then later on it shows
Makes perfect sense.
it shows that later on when he's
That's creativity, you know.
okay, later on when he's watching the film with his mom, she sees that he not only crashed it once, he crashed it like a million times. And he's like, Ma, I had to keep crashing it. I had to get all the angles. I had to see it crash into the milkman's truck and this and that. And it just gets very complicated.
All this filming, is it healthy?
Well, it shows that like he's fascinated from a young age with kind of destruction in films and the big spectacle, which is pretty neat.
Well, I think the train crash was something that, and the train coming with the woman, you know, the damsel in distress, was one of the first things they ever filmed, wasn't it?
So like I said, why would Steven choose to not do The Last Indiana Jones? And something about The Last Indiana Jones is we've already seen from the trailer. It has a train scene, right?
Yes.
In Last Crusade, River Phoenix plays young Indiana Jones, and they have a train scene.
Absolutely, yeah. That's one of the. I mean, easily one of the probably best scenes,
more memorable scenes
in the film, right? Arguably. Yeah. I think.
Yeah, and
it's a brilliant starting, I will say.
If River had lived, he would have been young Indiana Jones in the show, but he
would have popped up and he could have been an older. He could have taken over from Harrison Ford even, because he was so good in that film that he actually like knew how to do Harrison Ford. I mean, it was good.
The fact that River was played young Indiana Jones, I think you could even cast Joaquin, his brother, as maybe an older mutt if you really wanted to, stuff like that, maybe as a homage to River. But
yeah, if only.
That's neither here nor there, but that's an idea I had. But anyway, if River had lived, he would have been in Young Indiana Jones Adventures, and in that.
How do you know though?
It's part of the history of that show. He was up for that. They put him in Crusade because they wanted him. The idea was we're going to give him the series, and he ended up dying in the club. So they gave it to Sean.
Actually, on the pavement.
They gave it to this other guy, Sean. I can't remember his last name, but he's plays young Indiana Jones. In Young Indiana Jones, there's actually a Nazi train scene in that. So there's been 2 train scenes. One that is actually a secret Nazi train. So this is not only the first time we're seeing a Nazi train, it's the second time and third time we're having a train scene with Indiana Jones. So not a wholly original idea from Mangold, but whatever. But it shows that if Steven is maybe having some input into this new movie, maybe it all goes back to the train, because he's very obsessed with this train. It's a very thematic thing in Fablemans.
Model train.
So, yes.
One of Voltaire's big things.
The whole reason that the father can buy him a very expensive model train is because the father works for RCA and General Electric, and
okay.
It's weird because a lot when you study,
you've got a bit of spare cash basically.
When you study stars, like there's a book called Laurel Canyon which talks about all the 70s
and a film,
and 60s musicians, and how most of their fathers and parents worked for the defense industry in some capacity, and it's just a really weird coincidence that they all become stars, being the kids of these people in the industrial military complex.
I think the entertainment industry is essentially, obviously, very closely linked with that. You know, I mean, you can't power a cinema without electricity. I mean, presumably they powered them with generators even at one point, but I think, is there something going on? Is some almost subliminal level to it?
I'm just saying the way
I think there's a grain of truth to that. Yes,
the way he presents his father, and his father's played by the kid that did the Riddler, right? I'm trying to think of his name off. I'm blanking out here.
Oh, Paul Dano. Yeah,
Paul Dano is the father.
Well, he's very good. Yeah, he's always good in everything, really.
Excellent. Excellent.
Slightly, does he bring that kind of Paul Dano quality to it? Like a bit
Oh yeah, big time.
diffident, sort of like.
Big time. I mean, really, this is a film about Steven, but at the
Right.
same time, that secondary.
What shaped him?
Well, the secondary, maybe even the main storyline, besides his shaping of his film career, is his family. He's telling a story about his family apparently, and how his father worked pretty important. He made it seem like his father was pretty important to RCA and General Electric, and his father had this best friend Benny. Now that's the part that Seth Rogen plays. Okay, that's not a member of the family, Benny. That's they call him Uncle Benny, but they make a point of saying he's not your real uncle. Why are you call him your uncle? Oh, and the mother says, "Oh, it's just a term of endearment." There's a lot of weird innuendo and stuff in this film that goes as follows, basically. Benny and the father work at RCA, and the father at one point, as Steven gets older, the father has to move all the way across the country to California to take a job with General Electric because he's such a good engineer. They even make a point of saying that he's going to be using a 64-bit machine, and back then that was like unheard of, something like the Nintendo 64 but for computing, and how that's state of the art back then, and he has something to do with that. And it comes out that Benny, the family friend that everybody calls Uncle Benny, he's not a good enough engineer to come with the family to California. And the kids are even like, well, he's not even really our uncle, Ma. Why would Uncle Benny come with us to California? People are asking questions like, what's with this Uncle Benny? Why would you even think of and they go, oh, he's the best friend of the father. Why would you even think of him coming with, right? So the father kind of he sees this as a way of getting away from Benny. And the families, it shows Steven has maybe like 2 or 3 sisters, maybe another.
Does he have no brother?
Maybe another brother. There's a big family. They have scenes around the campfire where they go camping.
What's the house like they lived in? Sort of like a detached house, or?
It's a nice kind of 70s looking house,
It must be before the 70s.
Upper middle class, 60s, 70s.
It was going to 50s off. I mean, he was born in the 40s, right?
It's a nice house. It's enough of a nice house. It's a big enough house where you can have 4 siblings. Uncle Benny lives in the house with them before they move. And everybody, this is a thing in the movie. Everybody's like, why does Uncle Benny even live with us? Kind of thing. When they go camping.
What are you getting to about Uncle Benny?
I'm getting there, okay?
Is he basically, bumming everybody?
No, this is crazy. When they go camping, the family goes camping before they move to California a lot, okay?
Sorry
the camping trips are special, and what's cool about the movie is it goes into like the Fablemans' Jewish heritage. It talks about, it obviously has the obligatory scene of Steven getting picked on at school, being of Jewish persuasion, stuff like that, that's
based on reality, obviously.
So. Based on reality. Good on you, Steven.
Yeah.
That's to be expected, and that's definitely how it was back then. So,
well, they need to include things like that, but it's not a film. He's already done Schindler's List, so but he has to, as long as he portrayed everything realistically enough. But I can imagine there's a degree of nostalgia about it.
Even if you think about the Indiana Jones films, most of them, they are a Jewish revenge flick against the Nazis in a lot of, almost in a way.
Indiana Jones is not Jewish.
No, he's not, but he's searching for the Ark of the Covenant, which is a Jewish relic, and the Cup of Christ could arguably be a Jewish relic. It's more Christianity than Jew, but if Jesus is Jewish, then it could be argued the cup of Christ.
Well, anyway, I've got to head off in 5 minutes, so I think
well, you're
we
rushing.
can come back. We can come back to this maybe on a video tomorrow, really, because we've already been going an hour and a half.
Okay, so here's the bottom line. The family goes camping, and it shows how the mother is very kind of eccentric. There's other scenes in the movie where like a tornado happens outside the house, and instead of saying, "Oh, all the kids come in," she rushes out and says, "Kids, get in the car. Let's go chase the tornado." And she gives the baby to the father, and the father's like, "Oh, what are you doing? You know, like what?" So when the mother takes them after the tornado, it shows how she's very kind of, there's something, she's eccentric as hell.
I wouldn't say that's eccentric. I'd say it's like she had it's a childlike wonder which she
that too
gave into. It is a slight eccentricity. I won't call it incredibly eccentric. Like, I mean, I think we've all seen real eccentricity, and that.
Okay, there's that too. So Uncle Benny, everybody goes camping, and they're talking about how he's going to go work for GE, the father, and the mother starts doing a beautiful ballet dance. And it also in this movie talks about how she's a pianist, and she could have been one of the world's great pianists, but she chose to marry the father instead, and have the kids and be the housewife while
so she's got a lot of creativity then, more than he works the father,
at RCA. Really. Yeah, deep down she's got you could see Steven's probably getting creativity, ingenuity from his father's engineering side, but also from the mother's more artistic kind of. So she's doing this ballet dance, and Uncle Benny goes over the car and says, "Why don't you tape this?" But before he says that, one of the daughters gets up and goes, "Mom, this is not right. Everyone can see through your dress right now. This is embarrassing, Mom." And she tries to put a blanket over the mother. And Uncle Benny goes, "No, it's fine. Leave her dance. Let her dance." And the father and Uncle Benny are watching her dance. Kind of, you could see through her negligee, and she's doing this beautiful ballet. So the family, so anyway, time goes by. The family moves. Uncle Benny's not able to go. When they get to the new house, it comes out that the mother is, after a couple of months, maybe a year, she's losing her mind. She can't stand it in California. Everybody else loves it there. And they ask her, so finally it gets to a point where they're like, "What's going on here?" And she says, "I miss Uncle Benny." So this whole movie is actually about how, like, his mother would, so Steven's making these independent films, and his father sees that the mother is depressed. So he says, "Steven, I'll buy you a camera. I'll buy you your editing equipment that's very expensive that you need to make your short film, your films or whatever for school. But I want you first, if I buy you this editing equipment, I want you to make this film about our camping trips for your mother because she's been down lately. This will really cheer her up." So as Steven is putting together this film for his mother, I'll wrap this up quick. As he's putting this film together,
we could carry it on tomorrow. I think that'd be good.
As he's making this film for his mother, editing it, he starts to notice in the camping trip little scenes where his mother goes off and she's looking lovingly into Benny's eyes. She walks scenes where she's walking away from the family camping site, and she's hugging Uncle Benny. She's almost kissing Uncle Benny. And Steven comes to this crazy realization where he just goes, and like realizes that his mother was sleeping with Uncle Benny. And that's why Uncle Benny lives with them back in the original house. And that she is so lovesick over Uncle Benny and the affair that she had with Uncle Benny that she's going to leave now the family and go back to live where they used to live. And she says, "I can't take it anymore. I miss Uncle Benny too much."
But basically the father was allowing it.
The father was, yes. This whole movie is about how the father is like a cuckold that basically allowed Uncle Benny like to live in the house, and even Stephen Lynch,
I don't describe it as that even. I describe
I
it as like he was looking after a woman who was suffering mental illness. You know, so
that okay, that's a good way to look at it too. Maybe that was something
from the
that
sign, but it shouldn't have gone
he
that
needed.
far. I mean, because this was making her worse.
It's just an
Yeah.
amazing thing for Steven to make a movie about his mother and
Has he ever spoken about this before?
be able to put this in the movie is very revealing.
I don't think Spielberg's ever really talked about this, has he?
No, I mean it takes a lot of courage to put this in the movie, I think.
You know the Lynch scene, just to wrap it up before we come back tomorrow, like I think that
There's
was
more.
almost an homage to Lynch in
There's more
itself.
to talk about, but yeah, the fact that Lynch's scene comes at it is the very last scene of the movie.
And covering that kind of topic as well. And then when you consider obviously Twin Peaks, which is Lynch's most famous thing, I mean, there's no coincidence he chose Lynch to be in it. So.
Lynch, as you know, Lynch is playing John Ford, and they even make a point in the movie where the kid playing Steven, I think, says he's the greatest film director of all time. Well, I think he means Ford was the greatest then, but David Lynch playing Ford, he's in a way he's saying that David is the best he thinks.
Yeah,
today.
there's an element of that for sure. Because I think that with Lynch, his performance is like half him, half Ford. An exaggerated version of him, but the long, prolonged lighting of the cigar, that is so Lynch, that moment. And how the scene starts with the swiping the needle off of the record. That's right out of, I'm not saying Lynch invented that, but that's a Lynch thing,
Have you seen the whole scene when he comes in with all the lipstick kisses
on
his face?
That's so funny.
It's
like, what's going on here? I mean, basically,
he's just been at the casting couch, obviously, right? He's coming
something like that.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah, but the fact that he's got the patch on the eye and everything, it's like it must have been so disconcerting for the young Spielberg as well. And then he said, "Get the fuck out of my office."
Yeah, but he skips and jumps because he got a lesson from John Ford. Actually taught him a little lesson there, and he was so excited about that. I think that was a turning point he felt like that was a turning point.
As in, like, you've got to steel yourself for the way Hollywood is. That you can get thrown out of a studio or lose your budget, or all sorts of problems, and it's just like, I mean, at the start of, as we've mentioned before, the start of Spielberg's career and getting into, even when he had massive success, was, difficult, wasn't it? When you look at things like the Sugarland Express in 1941 as well, which was regarded as a massive flop at the time. So
from what I know about Steven, his breakout really thing that I know he's got, I sent you the links of his short film Amblin, which was his first short film, and then in the movie it shows that he's working on that and that short war picture that I sent you. He puts that as though he's working on those two things simultaneously, but that might be for artistic effect because when I looked it up, one says.
Can I just ask you, the film doesn't go up to say E.T., does it?
Oh no.
No, it's just.
Oh no.
I think E.T. is the thing that gave him basically full respect in Hollywood. Like, Jaws was a massive success, but that doesn't mean it's not quite the same because it wasn't family friendly entirely. So,
Jaws is a masterpiece, though. It's Moby Dick as a modern day '80s film, and it's just that's what I think about the John Ford thing. It's if you're gonna borrow and steal from the best, So he got that little lesson from John Ford. That was like he kicked up his heels at the end. They even he says something about when the horizon is at the top. He says, "What?
Yeah.
Where's the horizon? Oh, at the bottom. Oh, well, what's this other?"
But someone online made a comment to that saying the trouble is Spielberg didn't learn from that because most of his films are just middle horizon in the middle of the, which I disagree with. I think Spielberg, in many ways, you could say he's an underrated filmmaker. Like, I didn't go and see West Side Story at the theater last year just on a whim. I knew that it was going to be done well. So,
but that's been my problem. That this was for me. This was not only a return to form after. See, West Side Story is like a remake of a play from a long time ago.
correct.
So
Yes, it's.
to me,
But I don't think he's trying to be anything else. He's not trying to be like some kind of.
but that's not an original Spielberg thing. Like,
No, it's not.
to
But
me,
it's very well done though. The acting is great.
absolutely.
The singing is great, and it looks visually stunning. But
Yes,
that doesn't make it a brilliant movie.
and then prior to that, we had Ready Player One, where he only directed the trailer park scenes.
Right. I mean, we've got Take On Me on that. We've got like.
And what was before that? Was it?
We've got The Shining recreated. It's like it is very well visually done. But it's not that interesting.
What was the film before that? I think it was BFG too, which is an animated Spielberg film. So it's been a while since we've seen him.
Yeah, I mean that was just even
tackle something.
That was did okay, but I think the thing is, people didn't even realize like that it was a Spielberg film. And,
this Fablemans is something that he made that I would feel like I need to watch maybe 2 or 3 more times to really get this full scope of it.
Oh well, I'm definitely going to want to watch it now over Christmas or something if possible, because
well worth it. Even if you got to pay a couple bucks to see it, it's as a film buff.
I think it's coming out here in January. Actually, it's like really. They're basically like, oh, just forget about Christmas because everywhere's just like dominated by whatever, And
this movie actually gets into Steven's own bisexuality too. Like that's the part I didn't even touch on. Maybe we could talk about it on the next show. But there's a lot.
I don't know anything about that, but
yeah, it's well, I could get into that a little bit if you want. But
not now. Tomorrow we can.
All right. Yeah.
I think, for instance, I know he was in a relationship with Kate Capshaw, who everybody found kind. I mean, she was definitely like attractive in a strange. It's a certain way, like a kind of obvious way in Temple of Doom, but her performance in that film is one of the reasons why people had a problem with the film. Actually,
you know what? I did originally, but over the years, her performance has really grown on me.
No, if I watched it now, I'm sure I would probably see more in it than I used to. Like, that film is just like, at the time, even people was that not the PG-13 invented for that one? Or?
Yes, it was invented for that film.
Like for a sequel, in a way, it was ballsy to go. Like, okay, we're just going to really like just make this as roller coaster a ride as possible, to the extent that, again, you're mentioning trains, we're literally going to have like a roller coaster within the mines. I mean, that sequence probably made the box office go through the roof, because I remember seeing that film and people like asking me, was it good? Like when that's happened.
I think he learned from
capturing the imagination.
I think that was before Goonies too, and in a way, when you
a year before it.
When you think about Goonies, they build a water slide for a scene in that one. So
the Goonies it's got a similar sort of
similar stuff, right?
Slightly coarse aspect to it, which serves the film well overall. Like
a theme park aspect too.
Yes, I think the Goonies is not as good as Temple of Doom by any means, but I think it's of course it's a Richard Donner film, and it's got a slight kind of, it's very well made, the Goonies. It really is, and the humor and everything in it just really saves the film, redeems it.
To me, that was like Indiana Jones for kids, in a way.
It is. It's very much like that. It even has an act. One of the villain characters almost has, isn't there a character in it who looks a bit Indiana Jones-ish almost? I mean, the Robert Davi character, there's a slight kind of nodding of the head to Indiana Jones at times, I think.
Yeah, he even has a hat like that.
And of course, we have the same actor with, I can't remember what his name is in the Goonies.
Yeah, Data, right?
Yeah, he's...
Pictures of
even at that time, I found it like, what? Like... It's sort of like kind of so wacky that you're just thinking, okay, now he's abseiling in through the house smashing through the window. Like, what the hell? You know, and you're watching this and you're just thinking, even as a kid, you're basically like, this is just too stupid now. It's like,
Well,
yeah, we wish we could do this, but it's just, you know.
It did spiritually feel like you were watching Short Round on another adventure a little bit.
He was good.
Yeah.
And Martha Plimpton was very good in the film, actually. I think in her role.
Yeah.
She brought a bit more of a kind of sensitivity to it. And Richard Donner, he's always a bit like just kind of, let's make a movie, balls to the wall. Yeah, like it works with something like The Omen, but or all these other films. I mean, he's just a bizarre director. Like from The Omen to The Goonies to Lethal Weapon. But he's kind of one of these directors who had none of that now, that is ruining films, actually, in many ways. The political correctness, sort of like, yeah, we're going to start the film with a woman jumping off of a tower block. What?
Well, that's what, you know, I'm
like saying. When I first saw that, I was like, what the fuck? That scared the shit out of me when I was young in Lethal Weapon.
You know, that's the thing about this Fablemans too, is it's definitely woke from 3 different angles, but it's done it's done well, it's done right.
I mean, being woke in itself, being aware of all the things that people suffer and all this kind of thing, that itself is a good thing. But to be politically incorrect in films, etc., is also a good thing sometimes, not all the time, because it makes people think, it makes people question things. And that's what we need. We can't just be spoon-fed everything. That's
right.
We all know that in itself doesn't work. So
I was watching Hallmark earlier with my grandma, and it was like the classic Hallmark Christmas story, but from a gay perspective this time. So it was
that'd be right with my alley.
It was just like a whole new reality there, you know, like.
Well, you know, I mean, that's fine. I think some of the more saccharine,
almost bordering on parody, you know, James.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. But the thing is, with like I was upset slightly by the A Christmas Story Christmas. I was like, there's no effort been put into this. This is not funny.
I didn't watch it yet. Not good.
Just have a look. I don't know. I've got to watch the whole thing. I found it like uncomfortable, and he's actually quite good in it, Peter Billingsley. But they've got a different woman for the mum. It was a Melinda Dillon in the original film, wasn't it?
Yeah.
She's still alive though, so why didn't they get her?
The same reason they probably didn't get Shelley Duvall for Dr. Sleep.
I don't think it's for that reason.
I don't know. You know?
What, de-ager? No, it's not to do with that. I don't know if it feels very TV movie though. And the title even just gives it away. It's like, you've got to do this seriously. You can't just be basically riffing off of the original and that's it. It's like, it feels like when the Wonder Years was really lame in its last season or something like that. Like, I remember that one time I really liked Winnie, like over 5-6 years ago, which is like 200 years when you're that age. Like, but I don't now anymore. But because of the needs of this TV show, I'm still interested in her, even though she's not interested.
They won't let my contract expire. I gotta keep doing this. Yeah.
Danica McKellar, get in your shot. And she's like putting no effort whatsoever into her acting. Like, then there's someone kind of announces that on set, Fred Savage and the lad who, Jason, whatever his name, who played his brother, Wayne, they were like tyrants. Like,
yeah, something happened with that kid later.
You can imagine it, though, to be honest, because
I can't remember.
The Wonder Years was good for about 2 seasons, and then it just went.
I'd say 3 or 4 seasons.
More than that, yeah. It did have like Giovanni Ribisi in it. He was quite good, but not bad. But Kevin was like charming when he was young and likable, and then he became just basically like this dick.
Well, I noticed Giovanni did a return for Avatar: The Way of Water too.
Yeah, he said, "I'm not doing this. It's crap."
No, yeah.
We've got $2 million here for you, Javine. Do you have to forget it?
I got my
I'm living in
sneaky
a
Pete
trailer
money.
park now,
I'm
okay?
good.
What? He's got what money? I mean, what does Giovanni Ribisi do now? He does TV mainly, doesn't he?
I don't know. Yeah, he does Sneaky. He did the Sneaky Pete, which was a series not too long ago. It's like 6 or 7 seasons.
He's a good actor.
People like it. I couldn't really get into it. I tried.
I'm sure he's doing okay.
And people like it. It's
Have you never heard of that one is it being promoted there as well? That one with Gary Oldman. That's like it's set in London. It's like a detective drama or something.
Oh, I saw the trailer.
Apple TV.
Yeah, I saw the trailer for. Now Gary Oldman played almost the same role in a movie. I'm wondering, is that's meant to?
It's called Gary Oldman has spent a year eating at McDonald's, the TV show.
Also, while I'm on the subject, he should be Oldman. He's old man now, Gary Oldman, and
I never got a lot of the fuss about Gary Oldman, but
the Kate Capshaw thing. I hate to tell you this, but in my original reality, she married Harrison Ford, not Steven Spielberg. That's a Mandela.
Well, I hate you that you're telling me this. I mean,
I know.
I'm not really. I honestly don't mind.
It's a hugely weird, different thing that happened.
It's just the circumstances sometimes. So.
God, it's unbelievable.
But hopefully, I'll be able to upload again tomorrow. I think, or certainly by the end of tomorrow. But hopefully, we could do also another recording like this ready to be uploaded. Okay.
Hey, are you? We talked a little about Indiana. Are you interested in Harrison Ford's series that the 1923 thing?
Oh, it's like a spin-off of Yellowstone, isn't it? I thought it was like Yellowstone season 2, which it kind of is a bit, but yeah, I am actually. That makes me interested because I like him more. I mean, Kevin Costner is good, but like I'm not really a big fan of just like what is it? Is it like modern day cowboys or something? Or just
no, Yellowstone. Yellowstone is modern day. Then they did 19.
Yeah, this one's set in the past, didn't it?
I think they did 1918 or so. It was 1899. So in 1899, Harrison Ford, his character is a little boy.
1899 is that TV show that Carl keeps going on.
I'm sorry, it's a very.
I've only watched the first episode of that.
Yeah, it's a very close year to that.
We should watch 1899 so we can talk about it properly. But
maybe it's 1893. It's a very close
year.
No,
it's something like 19.
Wait, no.
1929 or something.
In 1893 or 1883, whatever that other series is called, Harrison Ford's his character is a small boy traveling across the plains with his dad, and they get to where Yellowstone is, which years later would belong to the family in the original series. This 1923 is meant to be like 40, 50 years later from the last prequel series. They're bouncing all around time. So this will be like 23. This will probably have some maybe gangster elements to it. I'm thinking.
So you're saying there's already been one spin-off to Yellowstone?
Yeah, and it was a prequel going all the way back to the same how the family found the land.
All right, we're going way off the beaten track now before we end. So I'll just say thank you for coming on today. Hopefully we'll meet again tomorrow. Okay, what time shall I contact you tomorrow?
Probably later. I've been
later in the day.
Yeah,
not this kind of time.
Yeah. Well,
is everything all right though with your grandparents?
This kind of time would be like the middle of the night. This would be fine for me.
Oh. Yeah. 1923 he plays Jacob Dutton.
Yes, and Jake Dutton is the small child in the 18.
The must-see that you really need to see is The Call of the Wild.
Such and such. I've seen that.
With CGI animals.
Years ago, I believe.
It's not that long ago. It came out 2020.
What? Is there an original one, maybe? Is this a remake?
Well, obviously, I'm referring to Harrison Ford being in it.
Call of the Wild, yeah. I believe it's about like a wolf or I feel like that's
Okay, I've got to really head off now, as I've said to you about
all right, brother.
5 times now. So I'll talk soon, okay? And I'll upload this on the See You in the Trees channel and send you a link so you know it's up there. But we'll do another video tomorrow, hopefully, okay?
Yeah, I give the Fablemans 2 thumbs up. Everybody should go see it. All right, brother.
All right, take care there and have a good night. Bye for now.
Go see pay for Fablemans instead of Way of Water, everybody.